Hello, Internet, and welcome to SEO Explained. My name's Adam Truszkowski, the Senior Rank Strategist at HV, and you're coming along through a 6-talk series with myself and Kyle Roof, the co-founder. If you've spent any time on the Internet and Googled what is SEO, I'm sure you've come across Kyle's name. Kyle, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about you, your background, and how you got into SEO?
Sure. I'm the co-founder of High Voltage SEO. We're a bespoke SEO agency. I'm the inventor and co-creator of Page Optimizer Pro, which is an on-page SEO tool. And I'm the co-founder of Internet Marketing Gold, which is a place for SEO courses to learn about SEO. And we also run tests on Google's algorithm.
Awesome. So how did you get into SEO?
Well, I used to be a lawyer. I was a trial attorney.
Okay.
And I did divorce, custody, and support. And I decided I'd rather chew on shards of broken glass than do one more divorce. And so I did what most people do, and I moved to South Korea.
Oh.
It's a real A to B kind of move.
Yeah.
I was actually looking for the lowest level of responsibility possible. And they would also give me an opportunity to travel. And so I ended up teaching English to kindergartners in South Korea, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
While there, I started a business. And that business needed a rather complex website. And once I got that website built, I had a very strong team of coders. And I realized I could probably start to general contract websites. And so that's what I started doing. I started a business to then build websites. That was going pretty well. I brought my brother into the business because he does web design and development. And then I got the bright idea of why don't we go to India and open a company there, because our developers were all freelancing for us.
Sure.
And they were in India. And I realized if we went to India, we could open up a company and we could it would become more cost effective, and we could grow and scale this.
Sure.
So that's what we did. We went to India, and we found a little place in the foothills of the Himalayas. And we had a business where the business was on the first floor, and then the second floor were apartments, and my brother was there. And we were told that we're going to get a shakedown from the police at some point.
Oh, wow.
That's just kind of how it goes. And one day there's a knock on the door, and my brother answers, and it's the police, and they say, we need to see your papers. And so he shows them the business papers, and they go, these are the wrong papers. And he's kind of like, okay, kind of how much do you want? Mm-hmm. But instead of asking for a bribe, they put him in handcuffs and threw him in jail. And so my brother's now speaking to the chief of police, and he goes, look, these could be the right papers, I don't know. But you have two choices. One, you can leave town tomorrow. Two, you can sit in jail and wait for the magistrate to come, and the magistrate will sort this out. And my brother goes, well, when does the magistrate come? And the chief of police goes, I don't know. So my brother goes, I think I'll leave town tomorrow then.
Yeah.
So he heads back to the office. Our employees have obviously fled. They don't want to be involved in this. He grabs what he can. We get him out of India. Now, because we've lost all our employees, we're hemorrhaging clients. And my brother goes, look, I can take these 4 clients, because he can code. He does web design and development. So he does that, but I don't code. And so we had just started doing this thing called SEO that I heard about. And I was like, we're building websites for people. Why don't we then try to get them on a monthly contract? And so we had actually landed a few of those. And in order for me to pay the rent next month, I had to learn SEO that day.
Oh, wow.
And that's basically what I went out and did so that I could keep those clients. And then it turned out I was pretty decent at this. I was pretty good at it. Yeah. And then I realized, maybe this is what I need to be doing. And so kind of slowly, but surely from there, kind of gaining clients. And then I met my business partner, Andrew Stephen, and then we formed High Voltage after that.
I remember you telling a story about testing where you just thought everyone else was doing the same thing.
That's exactly right. So actually in that moment when I'm trying to learn SEO, right, the first thing you do is is this a ranking factor, or should I do this? And you get 3 yeses, 3 nos, and 3 maybes. And I was like, well, that's not going to work. Especially as I needed to keep those clients. I couldn't just guess. So it occurred to me, I was like, oh, everyone's just running SEO tests. And that's what they must be doing. They're not putting this information out there. They're running their own websites, they're running their own test websites, and that's how they're...
Little did you know.
That's how they're doing it.
Yeah.
And so I developed a method to run tests on Google's algorithm. In 2015, I spoke at it was the very first conference that I ever spoke at. And I was speaking on SEO tests. And this was a really high-level conference, and there were only about 40 people in the room. And it's kind of collaborative. It's the kind of place where you can talk to the speakers as they're presenting. And I assumed this would just be kind of a back and forth, like, this is what I'm doing, what are you guys doing? And about 5 minutes into the talk, I realized no one is doing this. Like, no one's doing any of this whatsoever. And that's when I realized I might kind of be on to something.
Yeah.
That method that I spoke on, I actually now have a U.S. patent on determining if something is or is not
That's awesome.
a ranking factor in Google. And that's also what kind of became the foundation for High Voltage. Like, something that I realized that we could really latch onto as ours is, we don't test on your website.
Yep.
We actually run scientific tests, and that's where then we develop those methods, and that's what we bring to the table. Is the things that we know work, and that they're just speculative, but also we're not testing things out. We're not experimenting on your website. We've actually already run the experiments ourselves, and we know for a fact that not that many people are doing it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, actually, because kind of the way I fell in love with SEO, and it was the fact that it's almost like a game, right? You do a few things on your website and see what happens a few weeks later. And then I kind of fell into the dark side, the black hat, which we'll talk about later. And after having a PBN go down, I realized that you lived in Phoenix, which is, well, you don't anymore, but at the time you lived in Phoenix. And I reached out to you and said, there's got to be a better way. Can I donate some of my time to kind of learn the process? And I think started in testing. And
as I recall, you came in and you were helping with the tests.
Yeah, that didn't last long, luckily, which is awesome. But SEO is just one of those things where you get the bug. I know plenty of people that had no idea what they're doing, and now they're addicted to it. So
the problem solving aspect is the best part.
Yeah, for sure. It's the most frustrating and most rewarding at the same time. So, in this podcast, we're going to be covering 6 topics. Today is a general overview of what is SEO and how it works. In episode 2, how does SEO actually work? Episode 3, we're going to answer your burning questions about SEO. Episode 4, some actual successful strategies that you can use on your website. Episode 5, AI, the dreaded AI, and what it means for your SEO. And episode 6, what are your options when it comes to SEO? I look forward to talking about those in the future, but let's get into episode 1. So your notoriety came from Lorem Ipsum. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. A few years ago, there was an SEO competition, and it was a public competition. It was to rank for the term rhinoplasty Plano. Rhinoplasty is a nose job, and Plano is just outside of Dallas, Texas. And I thought, we've got a pretty strong team. Let's go ahead and throw our hat in the ring. And 27 professionals entered. And the rules of the competition were you had to have a brand new domain. You had to have a brand new site that nothing had been worked on. But after that, you could do any SEO technique that you liked. And it was a real sprint. It was only a 30-day competition. And at the end of that 30 days, I think only 7 SEOs got a page to even rank out of the 27. And we officially took 5th, but no one was really lighting the world on fire. The guy that won, he was on page 8, I believe, and I think we were on page 9.
And these are the pros of the pros.
That's right, the best of the best. Yeah. It was actually pretty interesting that only 7 got a page to rank. That's always stuck with me.
Yeah.
But about 2 weeks later, and we hadn't done anything else with the site, we just left it as is, it went to page 1. We were sitting in the number 7 spot. And then about 2 weeks after that, we went to number 1. And about 2 weeks after that, we were number 1 organic, and we were also number 1 in the maps.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then a short while later, we actually wiped out the maps, and we were the knowledge panel. So we were actually rhinoplasty Plano, right? And people really started to lose their minds at that time. And the reason is because we built the entire site in Lorem Ipsum, fake Latin text. Yeah. But we did the math. We did the math on how many times we needed the exact keyword, how many times we needed its variations, and how many times we needed its contextual terms. And then we quite crassly copied and pasted those into the Lorem Ipsum. And we got the page to rank.
Yeah.
But a lot of people said that we did it to make fun of Google, and that's not true at all. We did it to make fun of SEOs that say all you need to do is write good content. Mm-hmm. Because you do need good content to convert. When somebody comes to your site and you want them to do a particular thing, that's where the good copy comes in. But ranking is entirely different. Ranking is math-based because it's an algorithm.
Yep.
So if you give the algorithm the math that it wants, you can do very well
Yeah.
in SEO. And so that's what we did with that by showing it has nothing to do with the good copy. It has to do with the math that you're giving the algorithm. Now, a few months later, somebody wrote an article about it, and you can still look this up. It says Google ranks site written in Latin. And about 6 hours after that article came out, the site was de-indexed. Google took it away, which I guess is fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play. But that night, from like 1:20 to like 1:27 in the morning, Google took down 20 of my test sites. And those test sites had nothing to do with the competition site.
They just happen to be on the same server?
No, not at all. They were on different servers, different hosts, different
Interesting.
everything, different sites, and they didn't link to the site as well, the competition site. They're completely on their own.
Interesting.
And it wasn't very fun in the moment to lose 20 test sites. But then what I realized is it was complete validation. If I had gotten lucky, or if it was just nonsense, Google would have rolled their eyes and moved on.
Yep.
But I think I really touched a nerve because I showed how the algorithm actually works.
Yeah.
And they completely validated all my ideas in that moment
By going scorched earth?
Yeah, exactly. A few years later, I did a course on white hat SEO, and I was just reviewing the rules, the guidelines, just to see where anything new. And in there's a section called automated generated content. And in the no-no list, the very first thing is you can't have a web page that doesn't make any sense to the reader but contains keywords. And I was like, when did that rule go into play? Because I know that wasn't a rule before. Yeah. So you can go into the Wayback Machine, and it'll show you when changes were made to a website. And so I put the URL into the Wayback Machine, and prior to the competition, that rule doesn't exist. 1 week after my site went live, or everyone could see it, went public, and they made that rule. And then 3 months later, they punished me for that rule that they made based on the site.
You should get like a YouTube video, the plaque or something like that, or a Google certified.
I have a Google rule.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they need to make one of those. Yeah.
There's a chance that I'm the only SEO on the planet that has both a U.S. patent in SEO and a Google rule written for them.
That's highly impressive. Yeah, it's awesome. Well, that is coverage of the general how does SEO actually work. This has been Kyle Roof and myself, Adam Truszkowski. And if you'd like to learn more on how your business could benefit from SEO, book a time and chat with me. See you in the second episode.